on that case of oil, Judy, which was what, 76?
7605 for 1030.
Okay, we're just going to look at this ATM 10W30. And it costs $76.05?
Yes.
That's the dealer cost. What's the retail price of it, Judy?
I'm sorry.
What's the retail price?
Oh, 104.40, I think. It's pretty close.
Can you read it or not? 104.40?
It was when they first put out this price list and it had some typos.
Okay, calculator, Judy, anybody? What's the difference there? What's the profit?
33, 35.
28, 35?
Yeah, okay.
28, 35.
All right. I like the 33. And how many, what's the commission credit value on this thing? 53 or something?
Slow down, she got papers going and everything.
Say again?
5323. Yeah, this is hieroglyphics. You've got to know how to do this.
Now I've listed this up here for a reason. You make this sale. Now let's say, just to give you an example, let's say that a guy wants to buy a case of oil and he isn't going to be interested in any preferred customer and just says, sell me that oil, here's my $104.40. It does happen, okay? What is the 20, let's just use 23% of 5323.
$12.24.
And that totals? She's usually ahead of me, so I just asked her.
$40.59.
Well, I went through this exercise. If you want to see how much money you could actually make on a case of oil, if you just held out and sold it for full retail value and you were a direct jobber at 23%, it's $40.59 on a case of oil. That's a fairly profitable margin on a case of oil. So if you look at that from that standpoint, yeah, you know, you could hold out and try to make that kind of profit as a direct jobber, because this is assuming you're at the 23% level as a direct jobber, right? $40.59. But what do you make if you sell this? If a PC buys it, how much money do you make? $12.24, right there. All right, so I could have made $40. I took my $12, and I'm happy to do it. And the reason is that if the guy signs up as a preferred customer, he likes using AMSOIL, he's happy to buy it wholesale. He comes back next year, and the next year he tells a friend of his this is good stuff. Next thing you know, this PC, who's not a dealer, is buying $600 or $800, $1,000 worth of oil in a year. I usually will send an email then to the guy and say, you know, it may be time to trade the car. If it's using that much oil, you may want to get rid of that thing. And then I skip a couple spaces and I go, have you considered becoming a dealer? Because you obviously can't be using $1,000 worth of oil in a year. Maybe you should consider converting to be a dealer and make a little money off of those things that you're selling or giving to your neighbors, whatever you're doing. But this is how the system works. And one other thing I would say on this, just while we're here, let's say that you had somebody, and this is a tangent point, but I think it's enough to talk about. Let's say you had somebody that called you up or that contacted you on the internet, and they said they wanted to buy a case of oil. They weren't interested in the PC stuff, but they really just didn't want to pay for any shipping. Okay? So you say to yourself, well, I'm not paying the shipping. I'm not losing that money to pay the shipping on that, right? Well, what's a case of oil shipped for, Judy?
$11.82 for a gasoline seat.
$11.82, let's say. We'll just use that number. $11.82 for freight, right? And we're over here, right? Because this is what he's buying, full retail. How does this affect your profit margin, especially if you're a direct jobber? And I understand everybody wouldn't have this, but how does this affect your profit margin? Well, let's see. $11.82 from 40.59. My scribe over there with.
Oh, you were standing.
I'm sorry.
Took away your commission credits.
28.77.
Yes, exactly. So now you shipped it to the guy. He's happy, and you made $28.77 doing it. So what I'm getting at is the margins weren't always quite this. The stuff has gone up over the past 5 years. Of course, the freight wasn't quite that high before either. You can't go wrong telling a guy if he says, well, well, listen, I'll tell you what. You buy a case, I'll send it to you freight free. Free is a really quality word when you're making sales. I'll send that to you freight free. Well, this is what you're doing. You're sacrificing making the $12.24 to only make $28.77 because he won't sign up as a preferred customer. Now, I still go here because I want him as a preferred customer because I want long-term sales. But there is a shift in my mind when the guy is reluctant or doesn't want to get tied up in any of these items. I don't want to get tied up in signing up or anything like that. Okay, all right, well, I'll just send it to you freight free and you'll force me to make the $28.77 and we'll go on about our business. So, lots of ways like this to make money. Now, let's say that you're buying this product and you buy it in a large enough volume that you buy it at a 10% discount. So we take the $76.05. And what's 90% of that, Judy? Or 10% would be $7.61. And that would be what?
Okay, 76.05 minus
$7.61.
68.44.
Yeah. So now, if you look at it, one way that you could just look at that is you've just added $7.61 to your profitability. Because however you sell it, whether it's to another dealer, whether it's to a PC that comes and buys it from you, the 10% discount is your volume discount.
That's local though.
Yeah, local. If you were doing it, just don't ever pass on your 10% discount where you put your money up front to buy in volume to a PC or somebody that comes along later. You know, just collect your 10% and be good, because you could add this $7.61 to the $40.59 over there and we're almost at $50 profitability on a case of oil. So there's good profits to be made. Does that make sense to everybody?
Retail is a firm number.
No, you can do anything you want with the retail price. It's up to you, but that's just the suggested retail.
That's a good retail though. Can a customer go online someplace and find that thing?
At the AMSOIL website.
Okay. So they can go to the website and find out it's 104.40, and if they see you're selling it to them for 122.50.
Right.
You've already had it.
No, they're not. And I will tell you what, you make a good point there, because the hardest time I have with retail accounts is getting them to keep it down somewhere close to the recommended retail. I mean, all around this town, I mean, even when CarQuest was selling it before, they were constantly $1, $1.50 above the suggested, because their deal was, this is AMSOIL, people want it, they'll pay for it, you know. For a quart, yeah. And the thing about that is, you know, yeah, but it's got a good, it's making you more money on 1 quart than a case of petroleum. What's wrong with this picture? Be happy that you got an oil for a change that's profitable, because a lot of times in the petroleum oil market, in parts stores and places, they make about 10 to 15 cents a quart. That's what they're making. So they sell 12 quarts of oil and they make maybe $2 on that case. They sell 1 quart of AMSOIL, they buy it at $6.25 and sell it for $8.75. They just made more than a case of petroleum. But yet they'll take the AMSOIL and try to mark it up to make more money. And it's kind of like, you know, please, I mean, you're making good money off of it.